In the heart of Jakarta's glittering skyline, Richard Santoso stood at the pinnacle of power. At 42, he was the kind of man whose name made people sit straighter in meetings. His chain of luxury hotels sprawled across Southeast Asia like a constellation of privilege. The press called him Jakarta's golden son. His colleagues called him a genius. He called himself blessed. He wore tailored suits and Italian shoes. But his real armor was certainty. Certainty that he had earned every inch of success. Certainty that those who hadn't must have done something wrong. That certainty was most visible when he dealt with Muslims. He never said anything explicitly cruel. Not in public. But he'd arch an eyebrow at hijabs in the office. He'd sigh loudly when an employee asked to leave for prayer. He spoke English with Muslim clients, even when they addressed him in flawless Indonesian. And when his Christian friends chuckled at crude jokes about backward traditions, Richard laughed the loudest. One humid afternoon, his driver slammed the brakes near a street market. A woman had stepped into the road without looking. She didn't flinch. She stood there in her scuffed sandals, her weathered cart of snacks rattling beside her. Her hijab was loose, one end tucked behind her ear. She looked up at Richard, not with fear, but with mild annoyance. "Watch it, pack," she said evenly. "You're not the only one on the road." Richard stepped out, brushing off his jacket like it had been soiled. "Maybe you should stay on the sidewalk. Or better yet, find a proper job." He dropped a few coins at her feet like crumbs for a pigeon and walked off. She didn't respond, just bent down and pocketed them. It started with an offhand comment at a corporate gala one Richard didn't even remember making. Something about people needing to modernize and not letting religion slow down productivity. The crowd had laughed, as they always did. But someone recorded it. By morning, the clip had gone viral. Muslim leaders across Jakarta called for a boycott. Hashtags trended. Prayer groups posted photos of workers being denied breaks. Protesters stood outside his hotels with signs that read, "Arrogance is not leadership." His inbox filled with resignation. Letters. His investors went silent. His board panicked. And his so-called friends, they ghosted him. By the third week, Richard sat alone in his penthouse, watching news anchors dissect his fall. For the first time in his life, he had no idea what to do. Out of desperation, he found himself near the market again. Aisha's cart was still there, steady as ever. The smell of warm palm sugar and pandan wrapped around him like a memory. She looked up as he approached. "Back again." "I lost a lot," he admitted. "They're saying I'm anti-Muslim." She blinked. "Are they wrong?" He opened his mouth, then closed it. "I don't know anymore." She handed him a klepon. "Eat. Then come to my house for iftar. You'll need both." He went. Her home was small, tidy, filled with the smell of spices and the quiet murmur of evening prayers. Her father, a frail man with a tailor's hands, greeted him warmly. They broke fast with dates and lentil soup. No one mentioned his past. No one judged him. Night after night, Richard returned. Something in that house, its peace, its rhythm called to him. He watched Aisha give half her earnings to an orphanage. When he asked why, she said, "God sees what we do for others, not what we keep." He began reading the Quran, expecting flaws. He found verses on mercy and unity that echoed in his heart. At a community gathering, Aisha invited him to pray. Alongside her neighbors, hesitant, he joined, and in the rhythm of the salah, he felt a quiet peace that had never reached him in his marble-floored churches. One evening, under the soft buzz of cicadas and distant prayers, Richard sat beside Aisha. "You've changed," she said. "I'm trying to," he replied. "You showed me something better." He paused. I love you, Aisha. Not just for what you've taught me, but for who you are when no one's looking. She looked away, then back, then walked that path first. With God, if He's at the center, I won't have to be. The mosque was small, just a few carpets and whitewashed walls. But when Richard stood before the imam, his voice trembled. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasul Allah. Tears blurred his vision. Aisha stood nearby, her fingers curled over her heart. They married in a simple ceremony. No press, just family, laughter, klepon, and prayers. Months later, they opened a community center together. It was not named after Richard. It was not named after Aisha. It was called Rumah Persatuan, the House of Unity.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share.